All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakapidash, Rakatham. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and a salute and a Shalom to all the Akim that are out to labor pushing this truth in all sincerity and in truth. The title of this lesson will um, be not ignorant of anything, right? Of a great matter or small. Taken from Sirach, Sirach 5 and 15. It says, be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or small, right? So we're not supposed to be ignorant of nothing, man. Now, you all know where I'm going already. So when it comes to the proper understanding of the scriptures, you must go into ancient customs, man. Okay, because when you go into ancient customs and you study the ancient customs, you will understand the scriptures a lot more, a lot deeper. This is Jeremiah 6 and 16. It says, thus saith Yahweh, stand ye in the ways and see and ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein, right? So you have Israelites that refuse to go into ancient customs. They refuse to learn of the ancient customs because they think it's not important. It is important, because that's why Jake has a problem when we bring out certain customs in the scriptures, certain customs in the law. Jake have a problem with that because they've been what? Westernized. Jake, you cannot have a westernized mindset when going into an ancient book. When going into ancient, I'll say this, you cannot have a westernized mindset when you go into the scriptures, man. You just can't, because you won't get it. All right, because you will get emotional when you hear certain, because you will get emotional when you hear certain things, man. See, and your feelings will, and your emotions will cloud your, judgment. Deuteronomy 32:7, it says, remember the days of old, and consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, he will shew thee, thy elders, and they will tell thee. Hold on. Yeah, this is Psalm 77:5. I have considered the days of old and the years of ancient times. Now, let's go into a few ancient customs real quick. Let's see. Waning feast. Let's get this. This is Genesis 21:8. It says, and Abraham made a great feast. The same day Isaac was weaned. Right? It says, and the child grew and was weaned. And Abraham made a great feast the same day that Isaac was weaned. Right? Now, weaning feasts in the ancient world, right? It says weaning feasts in the ancient world were significant cultural events that marked a child's transition to solid foods and a more communal life, often with religious and social importance. The celebration, such as Abraham's feast for Isaac, was a way to express gratitude for the child's health and survival. See? So, right, man. So basically, Abraham, he was giving thanks unto the Heavenly Father Yahweh for blessing him with a healthy son, Isaac. It says, affirm a family's prosperity and recognize a key milestone in a child's development. These feasts also served to introduce the child to the community and their future role in it. Cultural and social significance. A major milestone. Weaning was a crucial, weaning was a critical transition from infant dependency to a more independent stage of childhood. And the feast was a public celebration. So like it. And the feast was a public declaration of this progress, community, and social integration. The feast was an opportunity for the child to be integrated further into the community and partake in communal activities and solid foods. It says proof of survival in eras with high infant mortality, successfully reaching the age of weaning was a major achievement worthy of celebration, affirming family and prosperity. A great feast like Abraham's would publicly affirm the family's prosperity and Yahweh's blessing on their household. All right, man. So in the kingdom, when an Israelite child has been weaned, see, to being able to eat what? Solid food, we will celebrate. Okay? Religious and spiritual significance. Gratitude and worship. Weaning feast were an act of gratitude to Yahweh Shemal Shah for a child's health and survival. A symbol of growth. The transition from milk to solid foods was a metaphor for spiritual growth and maturity. A child moving to solid food symbolized spiritual development as used by the Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians 3 and 2. Let's get that. Here it is. Okay, I'll start at 1. And I heard, brethren, could not speak unto you as unto spiritual, but as unto carnal, even as unto babes in Hamashiach. I have fed you with milk and not with meat, for hitherto ye were not able to bear it, neither yet now are ye able. Right? So the Apostle Paul is saying, I can't talk to you about spiritual things because you're not ready yet. Right? You're still on the milk. Right? You can only bear the milk. See? Just like you can't feed a 1-year-old child a steak. You can't do that. You can only give the child what? Milk. That's the only thing that the child can handle until the child gets older and older. Weaning practices, weaning age. Weaning typically occurred around the age of 2 or 3, though this could vary depending on cultural and economic factors. It says introducing solid foods. Children were introduced to solid food, to solids like honey, cheese, and meat and fish, sometimes with the help of specialized vessels like those found in Bronze Age Europe. says it is still customary in the East to have a festive gathering at the time a child is weaned. Among the Hindus, blah blah blah. When the time of weaning has come, the event is accomplished with Salakia. The event is accompanied with feasting and religious ceremonies, during which rice is formally presented to the child. Let's keep on going. Mm. Mm. Hold on. Mm. Okay. Okay. Mode of bargaining. This is Genesis 23 and 5 to 6. It says, the children of Heth answered Abraham, saying unto him, hear us, my Lord, that thou art a mighty prince among us. In the choice of our sepulchres, bury thy dead. None of the it says, none of us shall withhold from thee his sepulture, but that thou mayest bury thy dead. Right? Mode of bargaining. Because remember, Sarah, she died, right? I'll start out. It say, and Sarah was 107 and 20 years old. These were the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died in Kirjatharaba. I guess that's how you say that. The same is Hebron in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. And Abraham stood up from, it says, stood up from before his bed. It's like from before his dead, and spake unto the sons of Heth, saying, I'm a stranger and a sojourner with you. Give me a possession of a burying place with you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And the children of Heth answered Abraham, saying unto him, hear us, my Lord, that thou art a mighty prince among us. In the choice of our sepulchres, bury thy dead, and none of us shall withhold from thee his sepulture. But thou, which is, but that thou mayest bury thy dead. And Abraham stood up and bowed himself to the people of the land, even unto the children of Heth. All right, man. So Abraham, he bowed to him, showing them what, man? Respect. Respect is, man, respect is huge in the East, man. It is huge. It says, and he communed with them, saying, if it be your mind that I should bury my dead out of my sight, hear me, and entreat for me to Ephron, the son of Zohar, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he hath, which is in the end of his field. For as much money as it is worth, he shall give it me for a possession of a burying place amongst you. So Abraham said this, to let me buy his cave at Machpelah, down at the end of his field. I will pay the full price in the presence of witnesses. So I will have a permanent burial place for my family. All right, so you had to basically have proof that you bought this plot of land. So you had to have witnesses too. It says we have an interesting narrative of this business transaction, and this business transaction as an exact representation of the Oriental mode of trafficking. Abraham, a great prince, but a stranger, wishes to buy a piece of land for a family burial place. He makes the proposition to those members of the tribe of the Hittites in whose territory the land lies. They respond by offering him the use of any one of their own sepulchres which he may select. This generosity, however, is a mere ceremony preliminary to driving a bargain in which they mean to make as much as possible out of the rich stranger. Right? So there was basically like, hey, Abraham, hey man, whatever you want, we got you. Right? So they were trying to get as much as they can out of Abraham. So also when Ephron is approached in reference to selling the lot which Abraham desires, he says, verse 11, nay, my Lord, hear me. The field I give thee, says, the field give I thee, and the cave that is therein, I give it thee, in the presence of my sons. It says, of the sons of my people, give it I thee, bury thy dead. It says, what? Nay, my Lord, hear me. The field I give thee, the field give I thee, and the cave that is therein, I give it thee, in the presence of the people. It says, in the presence of my sons, of the sons of my people, I give it thee, bury thy dead. This seems to be a wonderful liberty on the part of this Hittite, but he does not expect that his offer will be accepted, or if actually accepted, he expects in return a present that he shall, it says, that shall be worth more than his gift. So he was expecting to receive something back. See? Right? It says this. This is Genesis 23:8. Entreat for me to Ephron, the son of Zohar. Abraham does not go directly to Ephron, Ephron, but he gets some of the Hittites to plead for him. No business of importance can to this day be transacted in the east without middlemen, right? Middlemen, right? Hold on, real quick. Middlemen. Middleman definition. Let's get that. A person who buys goods from producers and sells them to retailers. Blah blah blah. Yep. Okay, the purpose of middlemen in the Bible, also known as intermediaries, was to act as a go-between. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, commercial transactions. Uh, this is the purpose of the middleman in the transaction. It says commercial transaction, facilitating exchange. Middlemen such as merchants and agents connect buyers and sellers who might not otherwise be able to find each other. Providing value. It says they offer valuable services like market expertise, negotiation, and distribution, which add value to the transaction. Taking a risk. Merchants in particular take on the risk of ownership and storage of goods before reselling them. Right? So Abraham basically said, hey, if you could ask him if he will let me buy this piece of land so I can bury my dead, I'd appreciate it. The middleman. Let's see. See, now remember, what's his shoot? Yeah, Adonijah. Remember what he wanted, but he went about it in a slick way. It says it here. He was speaking to Solomon's mother, Bathsheba. And he spake, and he said, speak, I pray thee, unto Solomon the king, for he will not say no. It says, for he will not tell, it says, for he will not say thee nay, that he give me Abishag, the Shunammite, to wife. Right? But remember, Solomon was a wise king, right? Solomon knew what Adonijah was asking for. Adonijah was really asking for the throne. He never wanted Abishag, the Shunammite woman, to be his wife. He was asking for the kingdom. He was asking for the throne. Let's get this. Alright, man, and if y'all don't like that I'm going into ancient customs, so what? Get over it. I don't give a damn. It says this, the nurse. Genesis 24 and 59. They sent away Rebekah, their sister, and her nurse. Right? Now, the nurse in the ancient world, right? In an Eastern family, the nurse is a very important personage. She is esteemed almost as a parent, like a second parent, and accompanying the bride to her new home. There remains with her. She becomes the advisor, the assistant, and the friend of the bride. To the nurse, as to a mother, the bride will confide her greatest secrets. Thus Rebekah took with her on her long journey to her future home the nurse who had cared for her since childhood, so that besides the female servants she took with her, verse 61, she might have one intimate, familiar friend among strangers, right? So she could be what? Comfortable. Hold on. It says in ancient times, nursing was a role that was often filled by family members, especially women. Though in hold on. Okay. In ancient times, the person accompanying a bride to be in the caretaker in the caretaking role was typically a trusted nurse, maidservant, or midwife who held a respected informal position within the household. This figure was often a long-standing family servant with strong emotional bonds with the family, to the family, not a formally trained nurse in the modern sense. See? let's get this. Brides bought. This is Genesis 29 and 20. Jacob served 70 years for Rachel, right? It says, the dowry comes not with the bride, but for the bride. In Oriental marriages, the bride is given only on receipt of a consideration. In many cases, the transaction amounts to actual bargain and sale. This, however, is not necessarily the case. Custom regards the father of the bride as entitled to some compensation for the trouble he had in training her, for the loss of service experienced by her departure from home. See? So the man would have to give that woman's father compensation, right? 50 shekels of silver, right? Because the father is taking the loss. See? It says, if this compensation cannot be rendered in money, shekels, jewels, or cattle, it may be given in labor. See? Now, Jacob didn't have much to give to Laban, but he said, hey, I'll work for you, though, right? Your daughter Rachel, I will work for her. I will work to get her to be my wife. It was in this way that Jacob became herdman to Laban. Moses probably served Jethro in a similar manner, for the sake of having Zipporah. Compare Exodus 2 and 21 and Exodus 3 and 1. Shechem offered Jacob and his sons any amount of dowry. He was pleased to ask for Dinah. See? Let's get it. It says, and Jacob served 70 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him but a few days for the love he had to her. Right? So he served 7 years. Right? But it felt like only a few days. Because he was in love with Rachel, man. Every day, man. Him working every day. Laboring every day. He was thinking about Rachel. See, man, thinking about her smile, right? How she talked, right? How good she smelled. Jacob was thinking about all that, man. All right, man. And you know Jacob was thinking, man, as soon as I get her, whoo, what I'm gonna do. Come on, man. Come on, man. Right? Now, his treachery, was he wrong for it? No, because according to the custom, the eldest child, right? The eldest daughter was given first. Let's get it here. Says, and Jacob said unto Laban, give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in unto her. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. And it came to pass in the evening, he took Leah, his daughter, and brought her to him. And he went in unto her. Right? So Jacob didn't know it was Leah and not Rachel, because it was dark. And Laban gave unto his daughter Leah Zilpah for his maid and handmaid. And it came to pass in the morning, behold, it was Leah. Yep, it was Leah. And he said unto Laban, what is this that thou hast done unto me? Did not I serve thee for Rachel? Wherefore hast thou beguiled me? Right? So Jacob said, hold on, whoa. Laban, what are you doing, man? I worked. I served you for your daughter Rachel, man. And you tricked me? Are you serious? Jacob was pissed. But Laban said, hold on. Whoa. Jacob, hold on. Wait. It says here, and Laban said, it must not be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. See, it says it here. This ancient custom still exists in India and is sometimes observed in Egypt. It is also prevailed in old imperial Germany. So Germany had the same custom. In India, it is considered disgraceful in the extreme, according to the Gentoo law, a crime for a father to permit a younger daughter to get married before the elder, or for a younger son to be married while his elder brother remains single. If the eldest daughter be deformed, or blind, or deaf, or dumb, then the younger may be married first. Right? So there were exceptions. If a father have an opportunity to marry one of his younger daughters, advantageously, he will first do all he can to get the older one married. Until this can be done, the younger cannot be married. See? So what Laban did, he was wrong, but at the same time he wasn't. Because he was only doing because he was only following the custom of his country. Right? Because Jacob went to what? Padanaram. See if I can find it. Hold on real quick. Yep. Arise, go to Padanaram, to the house of Bethuel, thy mother's father, and take thee a wife from thence of the daughters of Laban, thy mother's brother. See? This is a coat of pieces. So boy, I tell you. I tell you. Ah, come on, man. Are you serious? Here it is. Coat of pieces. 67. Uh, this is Genesis 37:3. Israel loved Joseph and made him a coat of many colors, or a coat of pieces. The ordinary tunic was a garment worn next to the skin, reaching to the knees, and usually without sleeves. Joseph's coat is supposed to have had sleeves and to have reached to the wrists and ankles. A luxurious robe and a mark of distinction, such as in later times Tamar and the other daughter of the king wore. 2 Samuel 13:18. The pieces may have been different pieces of cloth, variously colored, and of which the garment was made, or they may have been various colored threads, stripes, or plaids. In India, coats of different color, patchwork, are made for favorite children. Pieces of crimson, purple, and other colors being sewed together, jackets, or sometimes embroidered with gold and silk of various colors. It is believed that a child thus clad will be saved from evil spirits. Since the attention of the spirits will be diverted from the child by the beauty of the garment. There is no evidence any such superstition in the case of Jacob. It was merely an instant of parental favoritism. This is 2 Samuel 13:18. And she had a garment of diverse colors upon her. For such says for with such robes were the king's the daughters that were virgins apparelled. Then his servant brought her out and bolted the door after her. Wow. Wow. Okay. I never knew that. Says so the servant put her out and locked the door behind her. She was wearing a long, beautiful robe, as was the custom in those days for the king's virgin daughters. So that garment of so that long robe that King David's daughter wore hold on. Not King David's daughter, but I'll say this. Hold on, where is it at? 18. Well, says, so the servant put her out and locked the door behind her. She was wearing a long beautiful robe, as was the custom in those days for the king's virgin daughters. Okay, yep. So the king's virgin daughters wore certain garments. See? And that basically told everyone that she was what? A virgin. Wow. Wow. Hold on, let me see. Khan, yep. 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 King David's daughter. Okay. Khan. Yep. All right. So, hold on. All right, man. So that was a few ancient customs and understanding of them. So with that, I say Shalom, all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakabadash Bakatham. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who do well, and a salute and a Shalom to all the Akim that are out to labor pushing this truth in all sincerity and the truth. Shalom.